Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for Voices and Visions of Change, from Passion to Protest to Purpose, a program celebrating Black healing and wellness, presented by Friends-Stewards of the African American Museum and Library at Oakland. I'm Karen Roy, board member and your moderator for this afternoon's program. The Friends-Stewards of the African American Museum and Library at Oakland has part of its mission to bring community awareness of the historical and cultural experiences of African Americans in Northern California. It is only fitting that we come together to reflect on these unprecedented times. Today's reflection is intended to offer a platform for listening, learning, and engagement. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Tony McDade, Dion Johnson. Now, more than ever, communities of color are activating their power to fight for, celebrate, and archive Black lives because they matter. The global response to injustice demands the transformative justice in which together we create the new world we all need. Today, in two panel discussions, Black creatives and thought leaders share their wisdom, tell the story of the Black experience, and highlight healing practices designed to counter the physical effects of inequity on the Black human being. Before we begin this exciting program, all visitors will be muted to ensure smooth transitions through the presentations. Should you have a question or wish to share your thoughts, please use the Q&A feature, which will be monitored throughout the symposium. And now, to bring us together in mindfulness and gratitude is Trina Alexander. Trina is a life entrepreneur and the founder and caretaker of Yoga Love, a yoga studio in North Oakland, California. Trina has deep experience with the trade-offs, challenges, and rewards of crafting a life filled with work that nourishes the human spirit. She leads yearly yoga retreats, whether to Yalapa, Mexico, or the Bay Area. She is skilled in the healing arts of Theta and Reiki. Please welcome Trina Alexander.
It's amazing to be here in community where we're all going to lift our voice and lend our voices to the vision that was created to bring this program to you and future programs as well. To help us feel rooted and grounded, I invite all of you, wherever you are, to find either a comfortable seat, or if you're standing, to stand tall with your feet firmly rooted to Mother Earth, to Ta Earth, Mother Earth, and feel the crown of your head rise up like our voices and our vision. So wherever you are, feel firmly planted. And feel so planted here that you can imagine roots growing like the beautiful oak trees that inspired the name of our city, Oakland. So all of us, let's feel rooted and grounded and feel those roots digging deep into the earth, fertile, rich ground. Now, feel our collective energy in the earth and feel that energy rise up. and keep the energy rising up. Let it fill every cell in your body. Now let's all feel connected. This is a community event. And I invite you, if it's comfortable for you, you can either look down at the tip of your nose or close your eyes. And when you do, tune into your breath. It's one thing that unites us all is our breath. So let's use our collective breath to feel stable and secure. As you inhale, fill your belly and your rib cage with breath, with awareness. And as you exhale, use that time to let go of anything that no longer serves you. And continue the breath pattern. Continue the breath pattern, slowing down thoughts, slowing down what can wait until after our time here together. As you inhale, fill your belly, fill your rib cage. And as you exhale, empty all of the breath out, release it. And continue the breath pattern. Continue to inhale, inviting, opening. As you exhale, let go, release, make room, make space for what we're so excited to share with you today. Allow yourself to empty in order to be filled up. And remember, today we write a brand new story. Today is a reminder that we all have a beautiful and very important story to tell. So wherever you are, know that your voice is very much needed here today. You are a story writer. We're all story writers. As we move into the program, keep your awareness on your breath and keep your awareness on your story. Continue to write your story. Continue to know that we're all rooted and grounded. We're all here to lend our voices. So wherever you are, know that this is a beautiful and secure space, and we're all so very powerful. Whatever thoughts come up for you today, share your thoughts. You can share your thoughts by asking questions, by being curious, by lending your awareness to the program today. So let's all take 7 collective breaths. As you inhale, fill your belly, fill your entire body with awareness. As you exhale, relax your shoulders. Inhale. As you exhale, relax your belly. Inhale. Exhale, relax your legs. Inhale. Relax your fingers. Inhale. Allow your entire body, mind, and spirit to relax. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of our ever changing and our ever growing story. I'm going to turn this back over to our moderator.
Ooh, wow. Trina, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ashe,
Ashe.
Ashe. Thank you so much for bringing us into oneness in spirit. Wow. And now I have the honor of introducing Claudia Noble Livingston, the president and co-founder of the Friends-Stewards of the African American Museum and Library at Oakland. Ms. Noble Livingston is a passionate advocate for the Black community who has worked tirelessly to help build and promote this community grassroots organization dedicated to the historical preservation of the Black experience in Oakland, the Bay Area, and beyond. Whatever she touches grows. As a certified organic edible garden consultant, Ms. Noble Livingston teaches others the importance of healing foods and assists the African American Museum and Library at Oakland in the curation of its seed library. In spirit, she is boundless, and her spirit continues to soar to new heights. Please join me in welcoming Miss Claudia Noble Livingston.
Wow, thank you, Karen. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I'm so grateful for you. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Friends-Stewards of AAMLO, I would like to extend a virtual hug and a warm welcome. The Friends-Stewards of the African American Museum and Library at Oakland is a 501c3 organization established in 2018. We are a membership-based organization. Our mission and purpose is to partner with AAMLO in efforts to provide community awareness, education, research opportunities to preserve, interpret, and share the historical and cultural experiences of African Americans in Oakland, California, and the nation for present and future generations. I would like to thank Chief Curator Bamidele, Museum Project Coordinator Vita Silva, the staff at AAMLO, and members of the Friends-Stewards of AAMLO for your commitment, membership, and donations that enable us to present quality events and programming. I would like to also take the opportunity to thank the co-founders of the Friends-Stewards of AAMLO for your dedication, integrity, hard work, stewardship, and continued support to uplift AAMLO as an important and viable African American institution in Oakland, California. Today's program is the Friends-Stewards of AAMLO's first virtual program, Voices and Visions of Change series, From Passion to Protest to Purpose. The inspiration for this afternoon's program stems from the permanent exhibit at AAMLO, Visions Toward Tomorrow, 1852 to 1977. Our program includes meditation, a mini virtual tour of AAMLO, spoken word, visual arts, dynamic presentations, moderated panel discussions, and food for thought and resiliency. Our Voices and Visions of Change series highlights a tapestry of strength, courage, faith, hope, and resiliency through the lens of artistic expressions and conversations. Through creativity, imagination, and art, we speak our truths, which leads us to healing ourselves, our families, and our communities. Artistic expression is a revolutionary act that provides for some of us therapy, hope, faith, dreams, joy, and resiliency to not just sustain ourselves, but to grow and thrive. Throughout our history, revolutionary acts have sparked change, allowing us to hope, to remain steadfast in our faith, and provide resiliency during times of struggle. Speaking of resiliency and the times that we presently live in, for some of us, these times are not new. During these times, we seek and we call upon our elders in our families and our ancestors to guide us. As a wise woman in my family and a community herbalist in training, I believe plants can help us to better deal with the stressors in our lives, to help us to better deal with the environmental and emotional and physical stressors in our lives, to be more specific. Plants have been on this earth for thousands of years before us, and they are resilient. They have seen these times before. Revolutionary times require revolutionary acts. Only you can define what that means for you. For me, a revolutionary act is to create a garden for healing and relaxation. Who would ever thought that planting a garden would be a revolutionary act? Planting an herbal garden of oregano, basil, thyme, or sage, just to name a few common herbs, can provide so much healing for your mind, body, soul, and spirit. During my studies as a community herbalist, I chose, or rather, holy basil, Tulsi, as it's known to some, it chose me. It chose me as my plant ally. Holy basil can be easily grown in small spaces and containers. Holy basil is a modulating herb. It's a modulating adaptogenic herb. It can be quite pungent, sweet, and warm. Holy basil helps us to better deal with stress. It calms our nerves, clears our mind, body, and soul. And I have my holy basil with me. So refreshing. Holy basil, it helps us to better deal with the stressors, and it can balance us, especially now during these times. I use the holy basil as a tea infusion, essential oil, hydrosol spray for instant relief and a sense of calmness. I'm able to carry the holy basil in my car or put it in my mask for my own personal aromatherapy. As I stated earlier, revolutionary times require revolutionary actions. Now is the time to act. Find ways to build your immunity. Find ways to provide peace in your life. Building immunity and resiliency during these challenging times is most important. When AMLO opens up to the public, be sure to check out the Seed Lending Library, where you will be able to find seeds to help you plant your garden of hope, garden of healing, and your garden of resiliency. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy our event. But I prematurely thanked you. I want to also add that now, after my presentation, I should say, I will introduce you to Vita Silva, Museum Project Coordinator at AMLO, and Marco Frazier, Library Assistant at AMLO. Both Vita and Marco will give you a virtual tour of AAMLO's amazing departments via video recording. Now I say thank you. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of our event. Have a great afternoon.
Hello everyone, welcome to the African American Museum and Library in the beautiful city of Oakland, California. I'm Vita Silva, the museum project coordinator, and we have a very extraordinary event for you today. However, before we get to that event, I'd like to tell you a little bit about this institution. We are located at 659 14th Street, Oakland, California, and we are a research institution for African American history and culture. We have 4 departments here. We have a reference library, we have an archives department, we have a museum gallery, and a seed lending library. So when you're in the city, please feel free to drop by and visit us. Now, today's event that the Friends and Stewards of the African American Museum and Library are presenting to you, Voices and Visions of Change. And I guarantee that you're going to totally enjoy it. This is only the first series as well. Now, getting back to AAMLO. AAMLO, we actually opened up in 2002. Before we opened, this building was actually the Charles Green Library. Now, Charles Green was the head librarian for the city of Oakland in the 1900s, and he is instrumental in making this the main library. Well, because of the earthquake in 1989, a lot of this construction that you see here was destroyed. Now, we had to refurbish it. It was refurbished to a tune of about $11.5 million. Then it became the African American Museum and Library. Now, with that being said, once we opened up in 2002, we never looked backward. We continued to move forward. Now, we are in 2020, and of course, 2020 came with a lot of challenges, and I'm sure you've had some as well. With us, the challenges, we embrace them and we never look back. That is our mission. We host many outstanding programs and exhibitions here, and this afternoon is no exception, because the Friends and Stewards of the African American Museum and Library are presenting to you this afternoon Voices and Visions of Change. Enjoy. Now, we're upstairs in our beautiful museum gallery. I'm standing in front of our current exhibition, Odin Muata, the man, the artist. Born and raised in Oakland, not only was he an artist, he was an educator. And we are so proud to be able to bring to you his collection because he died way too soon. So when you're in this area, keep in mind, there's a lot of wonderful things that you can see here. Odin Muata, the man, the artist. Behind me is actually the Blue Lady series. Also in this exhibition, you'll see the Jazz series, Black Cinema series, also the Athlete series. So it is a complete, wonderful exhibition of a wonderful, wonderful artist that a lot of you may not have heard of. So visit us and you'll be excited to know that not only do we have Odin's collection here, we have other artists' artifacts here as well. Also, I want you to take note of the beautiful banners here to my right and to my left. These are actually individuals from Oakland, California. And we are just amazed that when people come in, they want to know who are these individuals. These are the Collier family sisters. That actually is Lake Merritt. So all around in this exhibition that you see, which is called Visions Toward Tomorrow, the history of Oakland beginning with the 1800s. You can view all of this beautiful gallery space anytime that you visit once we open. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day.
Greetings and welcome to the African American Museum and Library. My name is Marco Frazier, Library Assistant, and I will be your tour guide for today. Today, the African American Museum and Library has 4 departments. You're looking at a picture of our first department here, which is our newest department. This is a seed lending library. So this department actually started out in our hallway in the card catalog. So we had a wooden box, one of the old school card catalogs that we used to search for the cards to search for books. That served as our actual seed lending library until the idea to expand it by our museum project coordinator Vita Silva, and this is now what our seed lending library looks like. So we have dozens and dozens of different seeds that people come in and they can check them out, take them home, create their own garden. You're now in our archives department. The archives department is different from the reference library in that everything that you're going to see here is one of a kind. Everything is original. With our archives, we don't take copies of anything. We have over 160 collections here that document African American history. Some of those collections that we have here, I'll show you some pictures of in a moment. But we also have in those collections things such as the Black Panther newspapers. We have those. We have different entrepreneurs, African American educators, and people come from throughout the country to actually view those collections that we actually have here. Many of our collections have now been digitized and our photos have been digitized. So we have over 160 collections. In those collections, we have over 70,000 photos. Many of those collections you can see online. You can go onto our Online Archive of California page to do research there, or our Calisphere page, which houses many of our photos as well. These are some photos from our archival collection. The photos that you see here are from Henry Delton Williams' collection, who was a Motown designer, who's done designs for Diana Ross and the Supremes, along with Martha Reeves and the Vandellas. You also see the Black Panther Party, which we have the Black Panther newspapers here as well, and also Ida Jackson, the first African American school teacher to teach in Oakland. The panels that you see here are from our museum mural called A Journey of Promise, done by Patricia Montgomery and Daniel Galvez. There's a total of 42 different stories on these panels. Talks about everything from slaves to the migration period, educators, politicians, and Oakland institutions. So that is just a brief overview of the departments that we have here in Oakland. We hope that one day, once the pandemic has eased, that we will get our guests back in here and you guys will be more than welcome to do an actual tour of the location. So thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Marco, for that wonderful tour of AMLO. Hello, I'm Karen Oyakami, Vice President of Friends-Stewards of AMLO. I would like to say a few words about AMLO membership. AMLO membership has its privileges. like advance notification and priority RSVP to selected events, plus our impressive membership card, which displays the beautiful mural in the museum gallery. Most importantly, your membership helps to support AAMLO's programming. There are several levels of membership: family, individual, senior, student, and educator. AAMLO also welcomes donations. To become a member or donate to AAMLO, email us at friendsstewards18@gmail.com or go to our website at friendsstewards@amlo.org. Thank you. And now I'll turn you over to our presenter extraordinaire, Karen Roy.
Thank you so much, Vice President Karen Oyakami. Thank you so much for your dedication and your fellowship. And now I would like to introduce this afternoon's main speaker, Andre Jones. Oakland resident Andre Jones is a muralist, a designer, a public arts facilitator. His illustrative style under the alias of Nati Rebel has landed him projects from East Oakland to East Africa. He holds a BA in commercial art from Virginia Commonwealth University and is considered an art anthropologist. His passion for social justice mixed with art continues to drive him to produce visually stimulating imagery and build long-standing relationships with communities around the world. In addition to painting murals in San Francisco, Oakland, and Vallejo, he has also created public art installations in Philadelphia, New York, and Ethiopia. In 2007, Andre moved to Oakland and began painting commissioned murals. In 2015, he founded the Bay Area Mural Program, BAMP, a nonprofit organization established to engage communities in public art. As the executive director of BAMP, Andre has facilitated numerous large-scale community-based projects while employing local Bay Area talent. His mission is to employ the visual arts to inspire and redefine urban communities. His emotionally captivating work reflects his sense of connection to the people. Please welcome Andre Jones.
Thank you so much for that, Karen. And thank you, AAMLO, and all the participants here today. Yes, I'm Andre Jones, the Executive Director of the Bay Area Mural Program, and it is an honor to be here today. So I have a presentation that I wanted to just go ahead and get right into. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that I can give you guys a little bit of visual to go along with the presentation, because as a visual arts organization, that is our main focus. So let's get right into it. We are the Bay Area Mural Program, and we are a nonprofit 501c3 organization dedicated to facilitating public art. And today, basically, we're going to just get into three major components. We're going to talk about the history of BAMP and how it came to be, and then three major components that make up BAMP: artist development, community engagement, and public arts. So as you guys, as we proceed, I just want you guys to think about those three things. And the story of how we got started is, as you heard, I've been working 20 years as a public artist. In 2015, I founded the Bay Area Mural Program. And with that, it was a beginning to where we started working with youth and different organizations to just create small installations. They weren't quite really murals just yet. And we did workshops in 2016, 17. And then 2018, we had a big competition, the Battle of the Canvas, to where the majority of our team that is now our facilitators and instructors came to that competition. Some of them won positions, all of them sold their pieces of artwork, and now we're an organization that does large murals. We've done over 100 murals in the Bay Area, and we're still rocking and rolling. As I said before, our main mission is to organize and facilitate the creation of public art murals. So today we're really just going to discuss what that really means to facilitate and organize public art murals. And as I said before, that's really just the simple equation of artist development with community engagement, and that's how we equal the public art. And as I'm focused on this screen right here, I'm just a large part of our artist development is working with POC, especially African American artists in our community locally, to develop their skills professionally and artistically to become, you know, the artists that can compete on a major industrial level. So yes, our artist development, we work with our artists to do different activities, skill building. We have a total of 16 artists, but including with that, we have 5 administrators and 7 community advisors. And that's really to just give our artists the support that they need in facilitating meetings, working with clients, working with communities, working with different organizations to bring the public art about that people all want to see. Along with that, we also work with our artists to make sure that they get the instruction that they need. So our artist instructors are not just teachers, but they are also muralists, professional artists that work in the field, myself included, along with our creative director, Rachel Wolf, and other artists like Steven Anderson and Jonathan Broomfield, are all professional artists that have had over 10, 20 years in the professional public arts field. And they work with our artists on every project. So it's really important that we highlight them because our artist team wouldn't be what they are without them. So before I get into it, this is a little video. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Hopefully it'll play for you guys. But this is a small video that we have available not only for our art team, but that it'll be available online with our art classes in 2021 after the new year. So this is our creative director, Rachel Wolf. And I'll just play this for you guys real quick.
So we have a nice basic color wheel, something you can make at home, nothing too fancy. Just to give you an idea of how these colors work. So to review, your primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. Those all combine to make your secondary colors.
It didn't sound like the video was playing that loud, but that's just a little clip of just the instructions that we give to our basic artists all the way up to our more advanced artists. We have a whole series of classes that will be offered online. Along with our online classes, we also have our in the field classes. So we have in-person classes that we teach in person, COVID friendly. We've had to dial back on our classes, so a lot of them have been online. But after we've done our online series classes and our in-person classes, we then allow team members to join us in the field to participate on actual public art that's going on currently. So it's like a whole teaching to work program exchange that we operate off of. So I know a lot of you have seen the work of our creative director, Rachel Wolf. She is a phenomenal artist, a good friend, and one of the very first members of the Bay Area Mural Program. When I met Rachel, she was a very talented artist, but hadn't did too many murals yet. After just a year with the Bay Area Mural Program as the lead artist on several projects, she now has got murals all over Oakland and even around the world. So that brings us to the end of our artist development. So now we're going to move into our community engagement. how we engage the community. So we have our artists, but then the other component of how we get to our public art is engaging just the local residents that live near the murals and in the area around them. So we do that in a few different ways. Primarily our youth program. So we've worked in over 12 different schools, a couple of different after-school programs. We have volunteer paint days to get residents in the area involved in the creation of the works that we're doing. We have senior participation, where we actually engage senior centers to participate in projects that we're working on. And then we have team building workshops. So our youth programs, we have over 12 different murals at 12 different schools. We've worked with hundreds of students of all different age levels and skill levels. We've created a curriculum that we've implemented in 8 different schools, from Martin Luther King Elementary to Sunnydale Boys and Girls Club. Our volunteer paint days are very exciting, not just for the team, but also for the residents that live close to the murals that can actually engage on the days that we have paint volunteers. So since the pandemic, this hasn't been as often as we used to, like we did in 2019. But even when we do have our volunteer paint days, we make sure that people are socially distanced and they have their mask on. So these are just a few photos from murals in the past couple of years that we've engaged the community just on our paint days. So we've probably had, I wouldn't even say, we've had hundreds and hundreds of volunteers at over 100 murals. And with our senior participation, we have worked endlessly to make sure that our elders in our communities receive the love and the attention that they so desperately deserve. We want to make sure that they're not excluded from our community projects. So we make sure to invite them out on our volunteer paint days, but we also engage in projects specifically for them. We've done 8 murals with senior centers, from the St. Mary's Senior Center to the Rosa Parks Senior Center in San Francisco, California Hotel. Our numbers, as you can see here in the yellow graph, indicate the people in person. So around 2018, our numbers were increasing in person for the elders and seniors of our community to be able to just come out and put a brush in their hand and receive a little bit of art therapy. Since the pandemic, our numbers have dropped dramatically, and we've had to do most of our senior participation via Zoom. So we even have some of the AAMLO members at one of our book meetings a couple of weeks ago that we had there in the photo on the right. So Zoom, as everybody knows, has just been a way that we've had to still keep community members engaged, just like this presentation here today, so that we could still just keep in touch and make sure that we get the feedback not only from the community about what they would like to see in our murals, but also just getting the feedback about the the whole mural as a whole. Our team building workshops are specially designed for nonprofit organizations and office settings. So we actually do our team building workshops at our headquarters when feasible, or we come to office buildings and do our workshops there. The end result is employees or team members being able to create a mural or a painting that will stay there at their office or location. So we talked about the artistic development. We talked about the community engagement. Now let's talk about the public arts, the end result, how we get to the public arts. So pretty much with the public art, this is where we've taken the time to develop the artists and their natural skill to where they can work on a more projected level to where they can do bigger size images and be able to focus on community ideas, not just their own concepts. So this is a mural that we just finished at 22nd and Broadway entitled Youth Empowerment, led by Rachel Wolf, done with over, I think, about 60 volunteers. And just a brief, quick little question. We like to ask people just to really put it into context to let them know where we're focusing a lot of our energy. Where can you find BAMP murals? People ask us a lot of times. And the graph on the left is a pie chart of the cities that you can find our murals located. As you can see there at the bottom, 44% of our murals are in Oakland. So that is a major concentration of our time and energy. On the right, you can see the facilitations, which is the buildings that house our murals or which are located on the actual building. So this graph right here, you can see the majority of our work has been done at schools. So you put 1 and 2 together and you can see that the majority of our energy and time and focus has been at Oakland schools. This is Learning Occurs at This School. This was done at Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School in West Oakland. This is on the backside of the building, and we did this in 2018 with over 200 volunteers and about 100 students. This is Oakland Love. This was designed by the students at Lodestar Primary School. This mural, we did about 5 in-class workshops with the 5th graders there at Lodestar. And right as we were about to do the application of the mural on the outside of the building, COVID struck. So we had to take all of their designs as an organization. We pretty much took their concepts, the ideas that came out of the classroom, the drawings that they used or came up with, and we comprised them and came up with this design for them. And this is a very special mural to us right here. This is Justice for Our Ancestors. This was done at the Kapoor Center in downtown Oakland. This was a special mural because we had 5 of our junior artists become lead artists on this project to basically collaborate all their styles and come up with this finished product. This is Indigenized Energy. This was our first and only mural outside of the Bay as a team. We did this on the reservation with the community there in Standing Rock. So we had 4 days to finish this mural. So we met with the families and the chief and the community members of Standing Rock for a day. And then in 3 days, we finished up this Sitting Bull and Buffalo mural. Spirit of the Fillmore is located in San Francisco on the Rosa Parks Senior Center. We had over 100 senior participants for this mural, over 50 students that came out and participated and pretty much came up with not only the concept for the overall mural, but even just the intricate little details to bring this mural to life. And we actually won the NEN, which is the Neighborhood Empowering Networks Award that was presented by Mayor London Breed for this mural. So this one was, we were very excited to participate on this one. And finally, we have the Authentically Oakland Whole Foods Market mural. This one is down by Lake Merritt. For any of you that shop at Whole Foods, you can find this in the lower parking lot down by the lake there. And this one was special to us because this one we felt really embodied Oakland and, you know, just everything that we wanted to see and represent in a mural, from the Afro girl in the middle to the oak tree, to the bridge, to the poppies, to even the map of the bay in the background with the 580 and Highway 24. And that is it. Thank you for listening to this presentation. If you'd like to find out more about the Bay Area Mural Program, please go to our website at thebamp.org, or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Bay Area Mural Program or Bay Area Mural Pro. Yeah, thank you all very much.
Ashe, brother Andre, thank you so much. Wow,
Yeah.
that was amazing. Thank you so much for bringing the indigenous tradition of storytelling through mural arts. Yes.
Yes.
You
Thank
are
you.
touching our children and our elders and our communities in meaningful ways, keeping the community engaged and empowered. Ooh. Wow. Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
encourage everyone, absolutely. I encourage everyone to check out the murals whenever you are in Oakland. They are the jewels of Oakland. Thank you. And now I would like to introduce Janet Noble Maxwell, co-founder of the Friends-Stewards of the African American Museum and Library at Oakland. Ms. Noble Maxwell serves as the Community Outreach Coordinator. Welcome, Ms. Noble Maxwell.
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate you introducing me. I am so honored and pleased to have the pleasure of introducing Jasmine Rodriguez. Jasmine Rodriguez is also known as Jazzy J. Jazzy, can you join us with your beautiful face? Welcome, Jazzy. Jazzy is an amazing spoken word and rap artist.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I am so honored and just so happy that Jazzy, at the age of 20, has very impressive accomplishments.
Thank you.
She writes all of her original songs with so much depth and wisdom and inspiration at such a young age. Jazzy released her first hit song called They Call Me Little Jazz she released the new song in 2019. Jazzy is also an international and national artist who has performed in Arizona, Atlanta, California, New York, and Washington, D.C. She has performed internationally in Paris, France. Jazzy is also featured artist in the rhythm and jazz, or rhythm and flow. I'm excited.
Netflix. So we're all excited. My heart's beating too. It's okay.
Yes, she is featured in Rhythm and Flow, which is on Netflix. Jazzy has created an amazing video that we would like for her at this time to tell us the inspiration behind this video, as well as the name of the video. And following Jazzy's telling us a story that inspired her to create this video, we will show the video. So Jazzy, please share your wisdom and knowledge in creating this amazing video.
Yes, of course. First, I want to thank you guys for allowing me to be here with you all. My Black Lives Matter is a remix. I wrote that song when, we had that time of the protest, police brutality, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Elijah McCain. The reason I wrote this song, I wrote about 4 songs in regards to the same subject, but I dropped this video is because I feel like we all need to be treated equally. And it's like times have changed, but have times really changed? If the police are still doing the same thing, we feel like an outcast because of the color of our skin. So I thought it was necessary for a video to be dropped and for people to see and hear where maybe my generation is coming from, besides, older generations or younger generations. I'm here for everybody, basically. All right. So I think this is the point where we play the video. Um,
We never said all lives don't matter, but it's clear that we see y'all intentions. Y'all on duty for criminals, not killing innocent people. Then go home and eat with your children. Like, what if we return the favor? So y'all can see how we feeling. We making a difference during the pandemic. I be damned if y'all do not let us finish class. This ain't the first time, not the second or the third time. And we see what y'all let us see, but I'm sure behind the camera it gets worse, huh? Why ain't racism a crime? Cause we don't know what y'all thinking. That's probably why y'all convict the innocent, then free the ones with a mental illness. Cause we don't know what y'all thinking, right? If y'all put someone over like me and we jump, we got shot just for blinking, right? Sound wrong, but it's something you gotta think about. We could protest, they don't wanna hear us out, rather clear us out. We need a different route. If you can't stand aside, then you can move around. We went from down to up. I know they looking down, they look at me funny just because I'm loud, but because I'm black, I'ma be louder because I'm brown. My day-to-day life it be different, cause they see me as opposition. Because I'm brown, I can't be friendly with too many cops, cause I really don't know they intention. Because I'm brown, gotta be cautious outside, and I ain't talking about the pandemic. Because I'm brown, I stand with my brothers and sisters, and we gon' be back for redemption. Black lives matter. It's Jazzy J. Black lives matter. Always have mattered, always will. We gon' keep fighting, and we gon' fight till we free. Stay up.
Wow, 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 wow. This is our youth. Oh my goodness. Oh, Sister Jazzy, I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
I am so proud of you, young lady.
Thank you.
Wow, for that powerful expression of Black emotion and feelings and activism and poetry.
Absolutely.
You are doing it. We are so proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And now I would like to introduce another young person bringing it up and making it happen. Our future. I'd like to introduce Anthony Ortega, who will be our panel moderator for panel discussions this afternoon. Originally from Hayward, California, Anthony Ortega is a dynamic young Black man who has combined his passion for activism with solid education that has him on the road to professional success as a researcher within sports medicine and rehabilitation engineering. He is a senior at Columbia University in New York City, studying biomedical engineering. And while on campus, he is passionately involved in the Black Students Organization, the National Society for Black Engineers, and the Activities Board at Columbia University. And in his spare time, Anthony enjoys watching and playing sports and listening to music. Welcome, Anthony Ortega.
Thank you, Ms. Karen, for that introduction. Welcome, everybody. I'm really excited to be here. I just wanted to quickly thank the Friends-Stewards of AAMLO for allowing me to be a part of this presentation. And I would like to just get right to our panel. So first up, in addition to the panelists that we have already introduced, I would also like to introduce Ms. Sarah Beth Maney. Ms. Sarah Beth Maney is a freelance photojournalist based in the San Francisco Bay Area. She frequently contributes to the New York Times and the San Francisco Chronicle. Her work focuses on topics related to education, disability, and racial inequality. Maney recently received a grant from the Pulitzer Center to continue a story about women of color reclaiming space and giving birth during the coronavirus pandemic. So welcome, Ms. Sarah Beth Maney.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. I'm so excited to be here. And I would like to just begin by sharing a presentation of images that I made during the protests in June and July. So I will start by sharing some images from the protests. So this first image is a picture of Louis Michael. I met Louis on May 29th in Oakland at a protest, and this was just 4 days after George Floyd was killed by police officer Derek Chauvin in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I observed Louis Michael as he walked up and down the police line, and I felt really compelled to create an image of him just because I noticed not many photographers were taking note. They were very focused on the action and the police and everything going on around us. And I didn't want to allow Louis's story to fall through the cracks. And that resulted in this image. And I think it really portrays his message, which was showing the experience of what it's like to be a Black graduate in 2020. On top of dealing with the coronavirus pandemic, young Black graduates are also facing this time of civil and racial unrest. And I think that Louis's message was a really powerful one for him to come out and share this with everyone in public. And this was actually his first protest that he had ever attended. And since this protest, I've been able to continue to keep following Louis, and he has been really involved in his community of Vallejo, where the police force in Vallejo is known for using excessive force against its Black and brown residents. And so Louis has responded by creating an organization to protect marginalized communities. And so it's been really an honor to follow his journey, because I believe his journey is really an example of what this panel discussion is all about, which is from passion to protest to purpose. This next image is also really important to me personally, because I made the decision to go out to this protest in my own time. I was not freelancing or working for a publication. And so I really used this night to look for sort of creative moments and frame beautiful images that could really provide a sense of peace and calm, which is something that a lot of us really needed during this time. And so when I looked up and saw how beautiful the sky looked with the clouds, and then I saw these three men standing on a rooftop, and they were just looking down at thousands of protesters gathered. And what this image really told me was that these men are sort of in this safe space, in this peaceful space away from all of the chaos. And that really gave me this great message of hope. So this next image was a picture that I made on assignment for the San Francisco Chronicle, and this was taken during a student-led protest in Berkeley. And the reason why I took this photo was just because I think it really represents how many people are coming out to support this common cause and fighting racial injustice. And as you look through each layer, you see different types of people of demographics and age, and they're mostly young people. But you sort of feel this sense of community as everyone is gathered together. And this protest was actually very special, because this was the first one that I attended where everyone took 8 minutes of silence in honor of George Floyd and the 8 minutes that he was being suffocated by the police officer. And just to be in such a personal moment and share that space with so many people was really extremely emotional. But it really made me feel very connected to everyone in the community. And this image is of Brianna Noble, who is a Oakland resident. And right when I saw Brianna, I knew that I had to make a photo of her, because just the message she was sending, she was showing everyone that she wanted to be in control of the narrative that's being portrayed of people protesting. And we had been seeing a lot of images of looting and destruction, which is real and it was happening, but there was also these other people out there who were using their voices in a positive way. And I think Brianna was really just an incredible example of that. And So I made sure that when I took this image, I sort of centered myself in the middle of these doors and I waited for her to pass by so that she was just the center focus of this photo. And afterwards, when I talked with Brianna, she told me this quote on the side that says, "There is no image bigger than a Black woman on a large horse. This is the image we would like to see portrayed in our community." So this photo was taken during a protest in Vallejo, and actually Louis Michael was on the microphone while this picture was taken, and he was reading off of the names of Black and brown people who have been killed by police in the past few years. And I sort of observed everybody in the crowd, and I saw this 13-year-old boy named Jackson Hurd, and he is an Omega Gent, and he was with his fraternity brothers, and it was just incredible to see them in this space together and sort of being an example of what the youth is feeling during this time. And so after I took this photo, I noticed how his hand is pointing up to the sky, and I just thought it was an extremely genuine gesture, and you sort of feel that type of emotion when you look at this photo. And this last image, I really wanted to close with this photo because I think it provides really a sense of looking towards the future. I took this photo while I was on assignment for the New York Times, and I was sent to downtown Oakland, and I had no idea there was going to be murals going up this day. And so I just stood by and tried to capture some of the community's reaction. And I took this photo of a mother and her two daughters. And I really love how the mother and her oldest daughter are looking towards the mural and just observing what's happening. And her youngest daughter, who's 2 years old, is just looking directly into the camera. And it's almost as if the little girl and the image of George Floyd are both looking directly into the camera and sort of looking at what's in store for the future. And I hope that through this photo, we can think about what future generations will have to go through, and hope that these moments will also shape their future as well. And that is the conclusion of my presentation. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Miss Sarah Beth. I think we can all agree that all of these images were just, beautiful and also powerful as well. And I love how there was pretty much a story behind every image that you had presented. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you. And next up, I'll be introducing our final panelist for this afternoon, Miss Rika White-Soso. Miss Rika White-Soso is a professional social worker in private practice whose special interests are community health issues, including interpersonal violence, health disparities, health and wellness, foster and transitional age youth advocacy, and public service. White-Soso has worked in the behavioral health and social services field for the past 30 years, showing a lifetime commitment to the betterment and health of her community. White-Soso has also received a number of awards for her work and community service throughout her career. She was also in the documentary The Waiting Room, which is now available on Netflix. So everyone, please welcome Miss Rika White-Soso.
Thank you so very much, Anthony, for that introduction. I'm humbled. Thank you so very much. Good afternoon, everyone. We have had a wonderful, wonderful day thus far together. I thank you for taking some time out on your Saturday to be with us. So as a therapist, and more specifically as a expressive art therapist, or a therapist that provides psychotherapy or counseling services, I include art in my practice when it makes sense and when it shows up in a room to be valuable to a client. But let me first just kind of share a few things. We find ourselves right now, and as someone said earlier, in unprecedented time with multiple pandemics, COVID-19, racial unrest, fires, climate change, virtual schooling, and everything in between. And I've been encouraging and sharing with my students that I teach and clients that I work with that there is no book we can turn to take off our bookshelves, to refer to get through this time, to give us proper or appropriate interventions that work. Some of the things that we have done, and I'll talk about some things that we can do. But some of the things we've done, we can't even go out and do. But there's still hope for us to take care of ourselves. We are all writing this book today together. And so we are being thrown back to look at our basics, to take care of ourselves. There are so many suggestions as to what we can try to do to take care of ourselves. Art is one of those things, and I'll expound on that a little bit more. There's lots of coping skills and tools that we refer to and consider on taking care of ourselves. And so we have been doing all the distressors. I'm hoping people have tried to do all the distressors they know, types of different techniques, such as we heard earlier, meditation, yoga, breathing exercising, sister circles, and everything, and all other kinds of things that are out there. Some work better than others, depending on how you're feeling, how distraught you might be, how isolated you might feel. We encourage people to explore and try to use what works for them. There is no set prescription that I can give you or anyone can give you. Even with the evidence-based coping strategies, there's no set prescription. You have to find what works for you. And what we saw and hear today, that a lot of times it's through the arts. It's through the arts that we find a way to express ourselves, to help us decrease levels of anxiety and anger, depression, and other mental health challenges that might have arisen or increased, especially now during this time. Lots of people have asked the question like, well, what can I do to decrease the stress or deal or get rid of the anxiety, the isolation, the depression, the frustration? And truthfully, there's various things that we can do. But one thing I know is that sometimes we don't have the words to say what we're feeling. So sometimes traditional counseling, talk therapy by itself is not always enough. And that as an expressive art therapist, that's where I will encourage to pull in using various artistic, creative, and holistic ways to manage. And so as we said, as a way to express yourself, to get to those words that you can't say. So we saw in the presentations thus far, people are painting murals to express themselves. They are meditating, breathing. And then last, we just had what I call photojournalism, photo journaling during the time that people were expressing themselves in various ways and catching moments that will be powerful and are powerful as we see them and as we'll see them even later in life, documenting the history of our time. We sometimes can't control how our body experiences the trauma of the day, and particularly the racial stress and this COVID pandemic and things of that nature. But we can control how we react. We may not be perfect when we do. We have to adjust what our expectations are during this time and give ourselves permission to be okay with not being okay. Showing compassion for ourselves during this time. We have to change the way we see and experience what's going on as well, and not fully try to not internalize all that's showing up and just shocking us day in, day out. Maybe if we look at this time as, what have we gained during this time? What are we grateful for during this time? Start a grateful journal, which is another interesting and new, another self-care idea. Do something that refers to taking care of yourself. Self-care. Listen to music and dance, another art. Draw, color, another art. Yoga, movement, another art. Sing. There's so many ways through the arts that we can definitely find healing and self-care, decrease our anxiety, decrease our depression. Also, look at our times now. Put things in buckets. When you aren't able to feel motivated to do, be okay with that. And then select where we may put the different things in our lives. Everything's not emergent. So maybe you look at it as a safety bucket, a high-end convenient bucket. Things that don't really matter, you put that aside when you're balancing the stress of the day. If nothing else, though, feel free to pull out whatever creative, artistic talent you have, even if it's just writing and drawing a whole bunch of stick people to express how you feel and manage and decrease your stress and anxiety. I feel that it's important, if nothing else, take a moment, a time out, and focus on your own self-care during all the time that we're managing in today's world. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Rika, for that wonderful presentation. Thank you. Yeah, I just, it's just wonderful to hear about the importance of healing and self-care and using those different forms of art that you were talking about to strengthen one's mental health, because there's so many daily obstacles like you had mentioned, and using those as like points of reflection and being able to you know improve one's health. I definitely appreciate that. Thank you. And so for now we'll be having our Q&A session. So I'd like all of our panelists to please turn on your cameras, turn on your microphones, because we'll be having questions. And I'd also like viewers as well to feel free to use the Q&A feature, as we'll be having a Q&A session after these questions that we'll be asking our panelists. All right, so let's get started. Our first question is for Mr. Andre. I'd like to ask you, how do you invoke feelings, soul, and emotions through your artistic expression?
So I evoke emotion and just feeling based on the stories and the environment around me. So just internally and externally. So internally, I look for the desires, the yearnings. One of my biggest yearnings was to travel to Africa when I was in my teens. First 2 years of college, I would just draw images of what I thought Africa would look like. I would go do my homework and research, and then when I found myself actually in Africa, it was almost like I had painted my whole existence into being. So internally is where I look for inspiration, and then also just with what's going on around me. But I say that hesitantly, because I want to make sure that I'm taking in what's going on with current events, pandemics, but I'm not internalizing it to where it becomes a negative, something that holds me back. But if I want to use that, say, negativity or hard stories or, depressing story, if I want to take that and use it as inspiration, or even just to tell that story and even just let it be what it is, just so that we can express it. This is what I portray in my images and my murals. So yeah, it comes from inward and outward.
Powerful. I really like that. Yeah, I just personally, I loved how, you're able to sort of take in these stories and reflect them in art, not only within the Bay Area community, but also abroad, like you had said, in East Africa. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. My next question is for Miss Sarah Beth. Uh, so, with photography being an art, and as an artist yourself, how do you find peace within yourself through your artistic expression?
Right, that's an amazing question. I think being a photojournalist every single day is different. I get to meet different people and learn from different people's experiences. And I think that one of the reasons why I became so invested in photojournalism is to understand more about people. And that's my biggest goal through photos, is to bridge some sort of connection or understanding between people. And so that really brings me a sense of peace, to feel like I'm representing stories in a way that offers people dignity and respect. And that's really important to me. Um, and yeah, just having the opportunity to really invest in a community and understand more is why I keep doing what I do, but also to provide more representation, I think, is always the goal within this industry, and to provide more opportunities so that we can see ourselves reflected in this coverage.
Wonderful, thank you. Yeah, what really stood out to me about your answer is, bridging the connection and telling people's stories, because it's one thing to, read an article or an anecdote, but it's one thing to also tell that story through images. And like they say, an image or a picture tells 1,000 words. So thank you for that. My next question is for Jazzy. And so, as a young artist, I'm sure you've been through many obstacles trying to start your career. And my question for you is, what do you believe are the biggest obstacles for artists in your generation?
Definitely, definitely. A few of the biggest obstacles I feel we have in my generation is the message we want to portray or the message we want to give out, because it's a certain genre of music that sells faster than the others. It's a certain look, it's a certain brand. It's the female showing their bodies, or it's the male attention that they're seeking, and it's like it's me and there's a group of other artists, there's a group of other people who have a different message to get out. And I feel eventually, being an artist, you have to be very open about your life and about yourself, and eventually, that time will come, but we don't have to give a message out like that. And especially now in 2020, now that the pandemic has occurred and all this, we're doing events online, we're doing Zoom classes, we're doing everything is digital. So it doesn't take, it's not necessarily a toll, but there's no performances, there's no shows, 6 feet distancing, we have to wear masks. It's a difficult time for everybody, but I feel like it's the main obstacles that we have right now. There's young artists who are dying in the industry because it's such a dangerous place to be, but I feel like those are the main obstacles we have right now.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that was a great insight. Yeah, because wanting to stand out and provide a different message is definitely something important, and that's something that a lot of artists tend to struggle with, is trying to be different and stand out from mainstream artists.
Right.
So, yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Miss Rika, I have a question for you, and you talked about your practice and the work you've been doing in different forms of healing, but I wanted to also ask you, thus far, what has been your greatest inspiration to pursue your practice?
Thank you for the question. Well, let's see. I feel like my greatest inspiration has been seeing how incorporating the arts into my practice um, has first allowed me to be able to reach the creative. Um, Sometimes, as I said before, people sometimes have so much hurt that it doesn't come out in words. It's in a song. It's in a poem. It may be in movement, as I said earlier. And I'm not talking about movement like necessarily having to be dance. People, I don't dance, but movement, clay, or sand tray. Sand tray is not just for children. Sand tray is also for adults. A lot shows up in the sand tray and other things. So first, just being able to reach more people, and then also helping those clients find breakthrough related to personal trauma that has been deep. Could have been from childhood, like childhood abuse, could have been sexual assault or domestic violence, or um, even racial tension, even that much. But helping them to find breakthroughs that then has them evolve to a place of eventual decreasing of their anxiety, decreasing of depression, decreasing of all other mental health challenges, and eventual healing, mind, body, and spirit, which is important to me. There's a lot of people want to take care of the body. And actually, some people want to take care of the body and take care of the spirit and then forget the mind. Mind is part of our body. It's part of our body, and we want to make sure that we're also supporting and nurturing it, so that the whole body, mind, body, and spirit will be healed and supported. So the inspiration of seeing people heal through not just talk therapy, but also using their creative piece to heal.
Awesome. Yeah, that was really inspiring. I really like how you're able to take your position and incorporate the arts into it and allowing creativity for the people that you work with. That's something I really appreciate. Thank you. Um, for Miss Trina, I have a question for you. And yoga is considered an art, science, and just a metaphysical activity. And I just wanted to know what inspired you to practice yoga.
It was a back injury. I was injured and discovered yoga through a class, actually at the Oakland YMCA. And I was also dealing with grief from the death of my father. And I found out later on that I was holding grief in my back, in my lower back, and through a daily practice of movement and meditation, I was able to move that grief. And I also was going to a talk therapist at the time too, so it was a beautiful combination of healing, and I wanted to share that healing with other people that look like me, because in my experience I had seen folks that did not look like me teaching and practicing yoga, and later on found out melanated folks are the originator of yoga, and I am reclaiming that and sharing that now from with youth and with adults.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's incredible to see how, because that's something I didn't really know, was that that like you had talked about, that it originated with people of color. I just kind of assumed that that wasn't the case, but it's great to see you sort of take that in and are able to, spread this activity and art and healing with others, and that's really powerful. Thank you for that. I think we can move on to Q&A. Because there are some questions. There's a lot of questions actually for you, Miss Trina, about Yoga Love. And one question I want to ask you is, or I think it came from Miss Lee Purdy. One question was, do you offer classes for Yoga Love?
I do. We offer classes every day, and the schedule is on the website at yogaloveoakland.com. And what's really special about Yoga Love, it's all people of color that lead classes. I've created a space that is very welcoming to every age, every size, every ability. Um, Myself and 3 other teachers are trained to work with the folks that show up in our Zoom classes.
Awesome, awesome. And also the link for Yoga Love Oakland was just posted in the chat by Jackson. So thank you, Jackson, for putting that link in there so that, our attendees can be easily redirected to Yoga Love and find more information and possibly attend some classes. So thank you. And as a follow-up question to that, Miss Lee Purdy had also asked, have you instructed, hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, Bikram Hot Yoga? Yeah, if you could answer that question for them, thank you.
Bikram is a lineage that is a specialized, it's a specialized lineage. And I don't lead that. What I do lead is Kemetic yoga, Smaitawi, Mayoniyat womb yoga, restorative yoga, gentle yoga, and meditation. And what's beautiful is that there's many paths to our healing. And I always tell folks, start with something, explore it. It's like, only wearing, and it's nothing wrong with it, but like only wearing one pair of shoes. You may want a different pair of shoes. So I tell folks to explore the different lineages, but just know at Yoga Love, what we offer, a couple of the classes were created by melanated folks to offer as medicine to other melanated folks.
Awesome. Thank you. I had no idea what Bikram Hot Yoga was until now, so thank you for that insight. Let's see. I would also, before we ask any more Q&A questions, I would actually like to ask one more question for Mr. Andre, but any of our other panelists can also chime in and provide some insight as well if they'd like. But my question to you, Mr. Andre, is, do you believe art can be used as an act of resistance, strength, pride, and beauty, and in what way?
True, all of the above, or D. Do I circle at the bottom? So I think that, what was the list? Give it to me again. But I want to say yes to all of them.
It was feelings, soul. Oh, sorry. It was resistance, strength, pride, and beauty.
Yes, definitely. So speaking to resistance, I feel like art speaks to everything, like just to sum it all up, it's a great quote, a picture's worth 1,000 words. It's so true because everybody who connects with that piece of artwork, we can all have the same overall feeling, but we'll all find little different nuances with that piece that we love. Somebody might just love the feeling of the background. Somebody might like the main character. Somebody might just love the overall subject matter. As far as our art being a message as for resistance, for beautification, the art that we create, we can look at it like the modern day hieroglyphics. It's storytelling. So pretty much what we depict on the walls is all the above. It's what's going on during the pandemic with melanated and people of, POC people. you know, like the joys, the strengths, the pains, the resistance. You know, we're doing it all. You know, it's almost like survival. So if anybody was to look back on a photo documentary of 2020, 1,000 years from now, the same way we look back at the hieroglyphics, they would look at the murals and they would say, oh, wow, is this really what was going on during this time? I thought 2020 was supposed to be, you know, like 21st century. They're supposed to be flying cars and everything, but it looks here like, you know, people of color were still upset about something. Let's go deeper into the research and figure out, oh, wow, they painted on the street. Why are they painting on the streets? Like, they must really be upset or have a lot of free time. Oh, wow, everybody was in shelter in place. Is this what, you know? So, yeah, to answer your question, you know, it serves as all of those purposes: resistance to beautification to, you know, just storytelling.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that definitely speaks to the power of storytelling and being able to use art in all those different forms. I like how you were able to talk about each one, not just like specifically just one, and how, you know, art is able to be applied to all those things. So thank you for that. I actually have a question for Jazzy. Um, so you're 19, 20 years old, and what do you want to accomplish in the next 5 years through your music?
Yes, I just turned 20 almost a month ago. But in the next 5 years, what I would like to accomplish is, I want to see myself as my own boss. Every time I go to an interview for a job, that's the question they ask. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Why, whether it's with the company or without the company, if I get hired or if I don't, my answer is always I see myself as my own boss. Entrepreneurship, it's deeper than rap. I have something I need to say, have something I need to give out to the world, but there's also other things I need to accomplish as well. So that's where I would say I will be in 5 years, my own boss.
I like that. I like that. Standing out. But that's like a follow-up question though. Do you believe you have any mentors or anyone else who inspires you?
Um, any mentors, inspirations? For starters, I would definitely say my mom. My mother is, the very first mentor I would say. That's because she's a hardworking businesswoman. She doesn't let anything stop her shine, regardless of whether or not somebody's going to help her. She's going to get the job done. She's not going to sit there and cry about it or sit there and not, nobody's helping me, so this isn't that. No, she's going to get the job done. So that's something I've always looked up to her about, is because regardless of any help she does get or does not get, she's going to get the job done. And I feel like I see a lot of that in myself. And a lot of people like to tell me I'm independent, I'm very mature for my age, and I feel like that's because, I got some old souls next to me, so I got to be one of those old souls right there with them. So my mentors would definitely be my mom. I've worked with older artists who've been on the earth longer than me, so they have more knowledge than I do. Anybody who's interested in my well-being and can expand my knowledge, I look up to them. It's inspiring for me.
Awesome, awesome. And yeah, because it's really inspiring to hear you and your work and how you're able to like already perform like overseas in Paris. I thought that was really incredible. And another question from our Q&A, one last question was, I'm not sure who asked this, but they had asked, how are you able to go so deep at such a young age?
How am I able to go so deep at such a young age? Deep in regards to my music, my lyricism. I'm just gonna answer it as, I've seen a lot for my age. So it's mainly like I said, I don't really. When I was younger, I didn't really, I hung out. I had my friends, of course, but I was always in, my great aunts, my grandmas. I was always, talking to them. All my conversations were with my elders in my family or elders at my school. All my teachers. I always gain more knowledge. I feel like I can learn a lot from people my age. If I'm surrounded by a group of them, I can learn a lot from them because of their different experiences. However, people that are older than me, people have been through more than me, like I said, been on this earth longer than I have, I also learn a lot from them. So I feel like that's how I'm able to go so deep because of my experiences in this lifetime. But I'm a very deep person. I have to get below the surface in everything I do. I have to get below the surface in knowing somebody, below the surface in what a business is, what the industry is. I have to get down to the root of the issue. That's what I do in everything. So it's a Scorpio in me.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, because it's just really impressive to just hear the things that you're doing, and so thank you for your insight and thank you for sharing the different ways in which you're yeah, excuse me, in your music career. Thank you for that.
Of course,
And
thank you.
we have a couple of questions for Miss Sarah Beth. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out who asked this question. Let's see, because I gotta. The questions are just coming in, they're flying in. But for Miss Sarah Beth, I wanted to ask. Let's see, how did you choose photojournalism as a career, and how can more Black and brown girls get into photojournalism? Sorry about that.
That is a great question. So, photography is something that I've always done. I've always had a camera on me since I was 13 years old. It was always a hobby for me, and I never really expected to be going to college. I'm a first generation college student, so I had to get myself to the position of going to college. And when it came time to apply, it felt like photojournalism was a natural route for me to take, since I had always been taking pictures of my family and friends and doing different events. And I was really drawn to it because I knew it offered the ability to, like I said earlier, to understand other people and other communities and sort of bridge that gap of understanding as well. And so for me, it wasn't really a question of, what I would be doing. And, throughout this career, I'm still very early on in my career, but I've learned that there's not a lot of representation in my field. And thinking about the history of photojournalism and how it started is very interesting. And like many other things, it was overwhelmingly white and ran by a lot of white men. And so I think it's extremely important for young Black and brown women to sort of reclaim this space and tell our own narratives and tell our own stories and provide each other with that sense of power and dignity. So that's sort of my goal as I continue. I really want to be able to create a space where people can say, oh, I can do that. I can do that job. And so that really pushes me forward to keep showing up and keep producing work, so that younger women can also feel like they can create a space for themselves at the table.
Powerful. I like that. I really like that because, yeah, imagery, just, like you said, having other people in those positions that look like you is definitely very important and very key. So, yeah, thank you for, doing what you do to inspire the next generation. Another question asked by Miss Sarah Prada is, let's see, they wanted to know if you can tell us about your experience converting the Kincaid fires. Or covering, I guess, the Kincaid fires.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So when I'm not covering protests, I do a lot of wide range of different daily assignments. So I'll photograph portraits, wildfires, national politics. And over the past few years, I've been covering wildfires in Sonoma and Napa County. And a lot of that experience has really informed me when I go into other dangerous situations like protests. When I cover fires, I always have the proper gear. I have a Nomex suit, I have a helmet, I have fireproof boots. and I've gone through CAL FIRE training in order to know how to protect myself, but also how to stay out of people's way, out of the firefighters' way, so that they can do their jobs efficiently. And so much of that coverage has also informed me how to be safe when I go to protests and what gear I need, and to always go with a buddy and not be alone and have someone there to sort of watch my back. So that experience has been very interesting, but also just like all the other stories I work on, you know, covering the wildfires is sort of like experiencing someone's worst day of their life with them, because a lot of people lose their homes and lose everything that they have. And so it really requires me to step back and just be present and listen to people and offer like a sense of comfort to people and a sense of respect as well.
Thank you. There's it was definitely a very tragic seeing how those fires affect a lot of people, and you know, it's thank you for providing insight into covering that work and sort of your thought process behind it. So thank you. Let's see. I think we have a couple more minutes. I want to get to some of the questions that in the Q&A that were asked earlier that I didn't get the chance to ask. So let's see. Actually, let's see. Miss Sarah Beth, sorry. I actually have one more question for you, just to follow up. An anonymous attendee had asked, do you think photographers nowadays are being biased with their camera lenses that sometimes lead the viewers? Oh, sorry. The question just went away. Hold up. Sorry. Do you think photographers nowadays are being biased through their camera lenses that sometimes lead viewers to get a wrong impression of the issue or certain people?
That's a really good question. That's interesting. I think it's really open to interpretation. Just like all photos that we create, people can perceive them in so many different ways. And so I think that it's really, to kind of provide a solution to that question, I think it's really important to cover all aspects of an event and not just the things that you want to show. So for my presentation, I showed images that really resonated with me, but there were still a lot of other things that I photographed at those events to show everything happening, like a lot of overall shots and portraits of people and other stories. And so I think that whenever we're covering any situation, it's really important to not show bias, but at the same time, as artists and photojournalists, especially as a woman of color, we have certain experiences that really inform the images that we're making. So it's kind of hard not to input your bias. Hopefully that answers the question a little bit.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because it's just like, through, because it is an art, and art is in of itself subjective at times, and different people can react to it, and the artists themselves, are able to convert or provide some sort of message or direction through that art. So definitely, I see that. So there are other questions in this Q&A that unfortunately we're not able to get to during due to time. So thank you to all our panelists. This was amazing. Honestly, I'm just like taken back by like, it's just like, this is incredible. Just being able to see like all these different forms of art, seeing how they're able to affect communities here and abroad, and just, yeah, I'm just, thank you to all of our panelists, Mr. Andre Jones, Jazzy, Miss Sarah Beth, Miss Trina, and Miss Rika. Thank you so, so much. And yeah, this was incredible. So thank you. And be sure to check out the chat. I think Jackson had posted all of like their Instagram, social medias, and websites, and ways to get further involved or to learn more about what these artists and practitioners are doing. So thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Am I able to interject just really quickly? Just real quick. really quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Jazzy.
Okay, I just wanted to say like we should all connect after this event. I really enjoyed it. It was, something new, something fresh, especially during the pandemic. It gave us something to do. So if we can, just create a group or like for example the Yoga Love, Sarah Beth, your photos, Andre, the murals. I'm Miss Rika. I'm interested in connecting with everybody. So, just stay in touch, stay in contact, and hopefully this can be an annual event.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Anthony, thank you so much for moderating such an amazing, powerful conversation. Thank you. I think we can all agree the panel brought the shine, as Miss Jazzy so eloquently stated. We thank again today's guest speakers for giving us the gift of authentic experiences that provide the seeds for growth, the vision for change, and a path forward. The fight for social justice under the cloud of COVID-19 is no sprint. The work we all must do to root out systemic racism will take time and requires individual and institutional reflection. Thank you to the Friends Stewards of the African American Museum and Library at Oakland for providing the space and platform to share the thoughtful dialogue from these amazing artists, advocates, and allies. If you enjoyed what you heard today, if it resonated with you, if you connected with it, if it made you think a little bit more and a little deeper, please join us on December 19th at 2 p.m. Pacific time for the second part of Voices and Visions of Change, from passion to protest to purpose. Tickets will be available online at Eventbrite real soon. And now, to close our program, we call on our ancestor, John Lewis, to bring his words, accompanied by the music of Jelani Newsom Noble. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Do not get lost in the sea of despair. Be hopeful. Be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. Never ever be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble. Necessary trouble. Quote from Congressman John Lewis.